if you are anything like me, you need a welcome sign for every occasion. And while I have the major holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving sorted out, I realized I don't have one for Valentine's Day. So let's go ahead and make one of those today, and we're going to get it all set up in Silhouette Studio. So let's jump in and get started. So I have a oval wood sign here, and let me grab my ruler. We are going to first measure out our sign. Oh, and this is not long enough. Okay, got my handy dandy tape measure here. This end. Okay, so we're gonna measure the size of this so that way when we plan things out in Silhouette Studio, we can do it exactly to the dimensions of what we have here. And this is, looks like 18, maybe this is center. Yeah, 18 inches wide. And looks like 9¼ inches tall. So we will use that. But I want to go ahead. I wrote that down so I don't forget. But we're going to go ahead and we're just going to paint this whole thing in this lovely pink color. This is Craft Essentials acrylic paint. Let me see. I know. Twinkle pink is the color that it is. So let me zoom in here for you. I've just got this little paint holder here. I think I picked these up at the dollar store. I'm going to just apply some paint in there. This probably came from Michael's or Joann's, and then I got these paint brushes. Again, Walmart, Michael's, Joann's, I don't really know. And I'm just going to give this a nice thick paint. And of course, I did not prime this or anything. This is just how this came. So as for what this door hanger is, I have a craft store called Craft Warehouse. They are a local craft place to the Pacific Northwest. And they had these on sale many, many years ago. And I just picked up a bunch of them. Because, of course, like I said, I want to have one of these for every occasion. And then at one point in time, I tried selling some. And, well, that didn't go quite as well. So now I just gift them. And make sure I have enough for me. So you can tell I'm being very generous with the paint. And this is probably going to take a couple coats because I did not prime it. And I just figure I'll just use a couple coats. This paint's like $1 for a bottle. So, you know, even if I use a whole bottle on one of these, I'm totally okay with it. But I am going to get this entire thing painted and the edges. I'm not worried about the back because you're not going to see the back. That's what's going to sit on against the door. So I'm not worried about that. I just want this front and then the side edges to be painted well. So I'm just going to continue on and get this all painted, and I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, so that's like 3 coats of paint or so on there. I did a good solid thick coat around the edge and then over top. We're going to let that dry. We'll see what it looks like when it dries. I might have to put more. We'll just see how much of the wood grain still shows through. But in the meantime, let's get over to Silhouette Studio and we're going to do some things. So the first thing I'm going to do is change my page setup, and I'm just going to fill the whole mat so we can see what we're working with. And then we're going to go ahead and draw out our ellipse. Oh, good Lord. And we're going to add those measurements that we took. So we knew that our piece of wood is 18 inches wide and 9.25 inches tall. I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in with pink. I'm going to get rid of that outline color. Okay, this is what we're working with. And to make our lives even easier, I'm going to go ahead and just scoot it off of the mat completely. And then we're going to go ahead and pull in our text. I went back and forth between two different sayings, either hello Valentine or welcome love. And I think I like the hello Valentine. So I'm going to pull a T for the text tool, and I'm just going to type out what I want. Hello, and I'm going to do it in, and then we'll do it again. T on the keyboard to get that. I'm going to do it in two different sections. Valentine. Because I want to pick two different fonts. So now here comes the fun part where you get to go through all of your fonts. So on the left side, you have a fonts button. This is your text style panel. And then you can scroll through all of your fonts and choose the one that you think is going to work best for you. Okay, after much debating and scrolling, I have landed on Magic Kiss-01 for the word Valentine. And for the word hello, I have this Dulles font. Now, the cool part is, first let's just make this a heck of a lot bigger. Whoop. And we need to fill these in with some color to make them a little easier to grab. So I'm going to do them as white because that's what color I'm actually going to do them to fit on here. We're going to do this one as white, and I like to get rid of that line color. Let's make this one bigger as well. And then you just want to make sure everything's going to fit on here. Okay, so the cool part about this hello is that we can change some of the letters and use glyphs. So to know if you have glyphs, your text, you will have to use the OTF file format that will show your glyphs. And then in this text style panel, we have this big G here. You'll click on that and it tells you what font you're using. And then you see I've got the size all the way to large so you can see better what I've got going on here. And if you scroll through here first, like here's all the regular letters that come in that font and looks very similar. You know, here's the H. Very much this is what you're showing right here. But if you keep scrolling, you've got these lovely doodads you can add to the ends. And some of your letters even change as you keep scrolling through here. We can add that heart to the end. We can do an upside down heart at the beginning. That would look really cute. And you've got lots of options. They do all the different, I'm just going to kind of scroll quickly through here. Lots of different language, I guess, that's the way to say it, that has the different symbols on top of letters and under letters. But look how cute that T is. Oh, it looks like a Latin. And I love that you can hover on it and it's going to tell you what that means. So you've got all sorts of options here. More Latin. So that part I really like. And then look at here at the very end, you keep scrolling and then things get even better. So I really like this H. I'm going to add that. So what you have to do is double tap on the text. We're going to delete the H that's there. And you can see how we've got the flashing cursor right at the beginning. Now I'm going to click on this H and that's going to add that to the end or to the beginning. I'm going to do the same thing here with the O. I'm going to get rid of the O. And we're going to scroll through here. So that has the heart at the beginning. And then I'm hoping that we will find, so now here they are upside down at the end. But remember when we scrolled up here, I saw it at the beginning. So let me see if I can find that one again, because I want them both going the same direction. Where did it go? Or maybe we can just add that to the end of the O if we can't find it. But I could have sworn we saw it going the correct direction that we want. But this is how you add the glyphs and make your text look even cuter or different than somebody else that's using the exact same text that you are, same font, but then you've got ways to make it look a lot different. All right, this is taking forever. So there's the right side up, and here's the upside down. There. So now I just have to get rid of the O that was there. And now, how cute is that? So that was using the glyphs. I can scoot this up. Now, we're going to run into some problems there, but maybe I want it to be a little bit more like that. And then the other cool thing that we're going to do is I'm going to fill in this bottom half with white. So I'm actually going to just copy this circle and I'm going to paste it right where it's at. So control C to copy, control plus C, and then paste in front, I think it's control F. Yes, love when I remember things. And then to get this one to do exactly what I want it to, I'm going to come in with my knife tool. We're going to do a solid straight line. I'm going to start, I think about here. I'm going to hold down that shift key to make sure that I get it straight across. And did it apply it? It did. Okay. Control Z, undo that move. I'm going to delete the top half. This bottom half, for right now, I'm going to turn purple so we can see where things are sitting. And I want that. Okay, let's see. Where are my, I think you have to click on something. There we go. I'm going to send that one backward. I swear the sending, oh, what happened here? Oh, that's interesting. Cool. Okay. Control Z, Control Z. I don't really know what happened. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just hitting Control Z, start over. That's really weird. I don't know why my text did that. Control Z. We're going to get rid of that whole thing. I wonder if it cut through all the layers. Maybe that's why. So now let's take this one down here. So I need an even smaller chunk. So I'm going to come down even further, maybe like here. Oh, you have to have it selected. Okay, it did it. So now let's take this. I'm going to change that one to my purple. And now let's see what happens when I select, rubber band select the purple and the pink. And I am going to align those to the bottom and to the middle and to the bottom. I kind of want it to go up a little further than that. So that is 2.1. I'm just gonna pull that up here. See how it changes? I don't really want to do that, but that's 2.5. Okay, so 2.5. At least now I know. So I'm gonna pull down. I can also click and drag down a copy. Now to know how tall I want it, this is my little trick. I'm going to draw a box and I'm going to give this box a color. I'm going to make my box 2.5 inches tall, and I'm going to select both of these and align them to the bottom. So now I know that's how tall I need to make my knife line. And I'm going to unclick the auto apply because now I want some time to make sure my line is where I want it. So now I can take that line and I can set it right on top of where I have it. And now I can hit apply. That cut my piece that I want. We're going to make that purple. And now I can grab both of those, align them to the bottom, and dang it, every time. Can't ever pick the right one. Okay, so I'm going to do it like that, and then here's the next fun thing we're going to do. I'm going to just scoot things down so everything is going to fit on here. And I want to kind of balance things out a little bit. I like the way that looks. Now I'm going to come in with my flexi shapes. If you do not have flexi shapes, you can certainly just pull in whatever kind of heart shape that you have. Or if you have this Dulles font, we could just kind of maneuver around and pull in some of these glyphs if you wanted. You know, you could sort out how you're going to do that. But I'm just going to draw out small. I like that. Come on, let me adjust it. Okay. Convert to path. I'm going to give this a different color so that I can see where it's going. And I'm going to lay these on this white. And I'm just, let's do this. We're going to use the replicate, and I'm going to make a bunch of them. And then I'm going to take this one out here. And now if I select by colored, let's make our life easy. By fill color, we're going to grab everything. Come on, grab it. Didn't do it. Don't include groups. Come on, grab all my shapes, please. Wow, okay. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and come in here. And I'm going to grab all of these teal hearts. And now I'm going to, this one tells it that I want it to pick from the center of each of those. And now I'm going to come in here and you've got this right here where you're going to space them horizontally or space them vertically. I'm going to space them evenly out horizontally, just like that. And then take that transform. I'm going to make another copy below. But this copy, I'm going to offset in between. And then I'm going to make another copy. And this one, we're going to offset back towards the other group. So with all of those selected, now I'm going to select all of these. Actually, whoops, before we do that, with just that first row selected, I'm going to group it, Control+G. So now I'm going to come in, and I should have grouped all of these earlier, and I didn't. I'm going to group each row. Control+G. And let's grab this middle row, holding down that shift key. And we're going to group all of these together as well. Control+G. Okay, the reason I did that, now I can grab this first row, hold down the shift key, grab that last row, and I am going to align those to the center. So now they're in the same line. And then this one looks like it's looking pretty good right between it. That just goes to show me that all of these in the group, Shift Control G, ungroup, they need to be aligned as well. I vertically aligned them, but I did not align them up and down. So I'm going to align them to the top to make sure they're all the same. And now we're going to go ahead and let's just group it back together. Control plus G. So let's take this group, Shift Control G. Let's go through that same process. We're going to align them to the top, Control G, and then this bottom one, Shift Control G, align them to the top, Control plus G to group it back together. Okay, now back to what we were doing. Now we can bring our lovely little hearts back into place. I think that's where they were. We're going to come back to this little guy here. We're going to come to our offset. We're going to do an internal offset. We're at that 0.75. That is the one that I like. We're going to hit, let's zoom in. So when you zoom in, it applies it. That's cool. Okay, we like that one. And now we're going to do, I'm going to get some painter's tape and we're going to do this bottom line, which is the 2.5 inches. We're going to do that, what you see in orange. I'm going to do that in red. So let me just color this red. And yes, I'm going to go all the way to the edge and that's just what it's going to be. And then what you see here in the green, let's make that white. Get rid of that outline. And then we're going to do it like that. So then you're going to have this really pretty red outline around these white hearts. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just get that set up and we're going to paint that last 2.5 inches at the bottom of our welcome sign here. So let me grab some supplies and we'll do that. All right, this is pretty dry. I've got some painter's tape. I pulled out some red acrylic paint. I've got a pencil and a ruler. So with the ruler, I'm going to mark up that 2.5 inch. Did we do 2 or 2.5? Does anybody remember? Hang on. Let me go back and look. Because the last thing I need to do is make that wrong. So I'm just going to look at this original. This is 2.5 and a little bit of change, but basically 2.5. That's going to work. Okay. Whew. So 2.5 inches. This is about center. I'm going to mark that right on the edge. I'm just going to put a tiny little mark. Now, that's all I'm going to do is that one little mark because I know myself well enough to know that I cannot do the math to know if that's 2.5 there where it needs to be on the rest of it. Yeah, I'm not that cool. So we're just going to line this up and now I'm just going to use the grid lines on here to help me out if I can. There's my 2.5 inch mark, center-ish. I'm going to peel my painter's tape and we're going to go and place this across. So if I'm at the bottom here, it's just 12, 11, 10, there's my 1/2 inch line. And to be really cool, I'm going to start that right there. And then I'm going to come straight across. And I'm going to make sure that that hits come on, at that 2.5 inch mark on that edge as well. That is the easiest way that I know how to make that straight across on an oval. So then this bottom half, it doesn't look like a lot, and it's not, but it's just enough to put a couple of those little hearts on there. So now we're going to shake this up, and I'm going to be lazy and use my same brush. And I'm probably still going to have to put a couple of layers of this red on here, even though it's thicker. And at least now we have some base paint down. And I'm just going to come in and paint red on the bottom. And I know this first little bit still has pink on here, so let me just try to get that off of here onto this bottom half. It's not a big deal because it's getting painted. Okay, so I'm going to go through and just paint this bottom half, and I'll be back when I've got it all painted. All right, this bad boy is painted. I'm going to give this some time to dry before I peel up that painter's tape. But we want to make sure that that has some time to dry, but you don't want to peel it too soon. Actually, let's peel this. I think we've got enough coat on there that it'll cover well, and I'm just going to be very gentle because if I peel up some of that other color paint, this is going to be a nightmare to try to repaint. So I like how it gives us that nice, slick, sleek, except for right there, I goofed and got under the painter's tape. Gosh darn. But we got that nice straight edge on there. Some areas of the pink is still not quite dry either. Now I'm going to try to not make a mess of myself. Okay, so it looks great other than right at the edges where it folds to the side because I did the bottom edge as well. That's the only area where I got a little goofed, and I'm only wearing a tiny bit, so I feel like this is a win. Okay, this has to dry. We'll leave it sitting there, and while that's drying, we can go ahead and I'm gonna go wash my hands, and then we'll go ahead and get cutting on our white permanent vinyl. All right, let's get things sorted out here. We're gonna zoom back out. So now I like the way that all of our text looks, and then we like this white piece here. So now what we need to do is finish getting all of our text set up. And with this one here, we're gonna go ahead and weld that all together. So back to your modify panel, we're gonna weld all of that text. This one, I like to weld them all anyways. And then I'm just gonna make that a compound path. So it's one letter. And then we've got this. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold down the shift key, grab all of my white sections, and I'm gonna make those a compound path. See, right now we have 3 bounding boxes. Make that compound path, and now it's all one big bounding box. I like the way that looks. I think it's good. We do have a little bit of kind of white space right here that I'm like, do I want to do something with it? But I was thinking about putting another heart right here, but I feel like there's enough going on, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. The white is what we're gonna cut. We're gonna put it on our mat. Let's turn it a color so we can actually see what we're doing here. And oh my gosh, look at that, it doesn't fit. So let's get back to our cutting mat so we can sort things out. We're gonna turn it sideways. And now look at that. Oh my gosh, it's 15.75 inches long. Well, guess what, my friends? We're using a roll of vinyl. So it's gonna be just fine. And I can scoot that over here to the edge. And we're gonna come over to our page setup. Feed type is going to be manual. Cutting mat is going to be none because we're gonna use a roll. Media size is still gonna be 12. I'm just gonna leave it at that 12 by 12 because we're gonna do it on a roll. You could say it's custom and say that you're gonna do, this is 12 inches wide, I think. This is my roll of white Oracal 651 permanent vinyl. Yeah, just giving that a quick measure. It's a little over 12, so 12 inches is correct. And then I can say that my height is, oh, now it's only no, this way. Here we go, 15. So we're going to say our height, 15. Oh my gosh, brain, 16. Okay, so that should work. We're going to come over to the sun panel, and I'm going to use this guide. I'm doing my Cameo 5. We're going to let it connect. My machine is on. It's checking for firmware. Well, this could take a minute. While it's doing its check, we're going to get things sorted out. You can see I've got my roll feeder here. Let's get this opened up. Come on. It has been a minute since I've used my roll feeder. Let's see if this is going to fit on here. It should. Perfect. This piece here is going to pop up. You're going to use that to help feed it through. Lottie-dottie day. And then I'm going to pull everything towards me so I have a little bit more room behind here for things to gather since it's going to be so long. So there you can see. And then I've got it fed in here, so I'm going to go ahead and just move those rollers back to where they normally sit since we've got 12 by 12 on here. And this one's got to come over a smidge as well to make sure that it's actually going to be right on the edge. We're a little bit more. Come on, right on the edge. Perfect. That looks good. That's good there. So all that is sorted. I like that. Come on. My Bluetooth was white, so I went ahead and touched it. So now it's blue. That's probably part of why it wasn't really doing its thing, because it wasn't finding it. So now it's fed in. Everything looks good from that perspective. The carrier is on the underneath, and I know that because it says Oracal 651, so things are in here the right way. We treat this cutting vinyl as a kiss cut since it's on a roll. So that is ready to rock and roll. And we are still waiting for it to check firmware. I tell you, sometimes this takes a long time. So let's see how long this is going to take. Hey, there you go. Your firmware is up to date. Wonderful. Let's continue. Now I'm doing tool holder 1. I want to change, and we are going to go to vinyl. I do like that they have these quick buttons up here. That's so nice. And I like to use the Oracal 651. We'll hit continue. I'm going to cut with my auto blade. Auto blade. Continue. Auto crosscut. I am going to use that. I'm going to turn that distance up to 1 inch. Would you like to mirror your design? No, we don't need to mirror it. So this is that auto crosscut is showing you where it's going to cut, but it'll cut it at the end, not at the beginning. But that is nice for it to just kind of show you there. But you'll see it's showing that like no cut lines assigned. Please assign lines to your button. Interesting. Well, this should all work. It should just work just fine. Right there, and then I'll have this extra strip there. Okay, let's check out our settings. I hate that you have to click on that to see about modifying. And let me just check my cheat sheet to make sure that these are the settings I indeed like. It has indeed been a few minutes since I've done some final cutting, so I am excited to do this. I did check with my handy cheat sheet, and I prefer that blade depth at a 2. Speed of 5, force of 10, 1 pass. Don't do anything with the acceleration. The crosscut force 18. That'll cut through the vinyl and the carrier sheet. That looks great. Intel Path Technology. Sure, let's go ahead and turn that on. The line segment overcut. I don't think I need that right now. So the Intelligent Path Technology basically looks at what's the fastest way that it can cut everything with like the minimal amount of roller movement. So we'll go ahead and use that. We're going to hit back. Everything should be good here. We're going to hit continue. And then it's going to walk you through here, load in your blade. It's detecting your tools. Auto blade's been detected. Yay! Attach your roll feeder. So that's really cool that it like goes through all the steps for you. We've already done that. Load your roll. We did that already too. Yippee! Load your roll, which we already did that as well. And now we can just make it. So I'm just going to hit send. Some of the cut lines in your design are overlapping the cut border, the red rectangle. So only part of the shape will be cut. Are you sure you want to continue? No, I'm not sure at all. Interesting. So I don't know where that red rectangle is that they're talking about. So let me just scoot this over a bit and see if that doesn't help. And I guess I can scoot that up. Oh, see, there's like a white area. Okay, so see how it's white down here? I guess that's what they're talking about. Scoot that over. Is there white on this edge? Yeah, okay. Let's try that. So now, since we already did the guided, I'm just going to come to the standard. Ready, tool holder. Let's change this again. I hate that every time you switch, you have to tell it what you're doing again. Auto, come on, my dear. Detect my tools. Oh, tool holder 1. That's helpful. Okay, look, there we go. We're going to cut. We're going to auto cut. There's my settings. Everything looks good. Auto cross cut is enabled relative to job. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and hit send and see, still says some of the lines are overlapping. Do you want to continue? No. Okay. So let me go ahead and turn on my cut border. Let's go back to the sun panel. Now I see what they're talking about. See if I can't scoot that down and over. See if that makes it happier. And my media size is custom. The height of my media is going to be 17.5 inches. Let's try that. And I'm hoping now with those adjustments that it is now happy. So now when we hit send, We have green lights. We can go ahead and hit send, and it's gonna send our job to the cutting machine. So it's just gonna go ahead. So this is the Intel Pathop. Yeah, the new technology where it decides the best place for it to start cutting. And it has decided the best place for it to start cutting is not at the top. Because what I think it's doing is going through the word Valentine, and then it's gonna do the word hello. I'm not gonna make you stare at this while it cuts everything out, so I will be back when the cutting is done. Okay, so here is the cross cut. So notice it pulled it all the way through to the end, and it's cutting all the way across at that higher blade. So what did it do? A force of 18. Let me see what blade depth it did. Looks like a blade of 8. So that cut it. So now I can actually pull my project through the back, and my entire project is right here. And I told it, remember I said I wanted it to have an inch at the end here. So it went ahead and automatically detected that part. So now we can unload the rest of our roll. This is perfectly ready to just be saved and used for another project. So now we have this bad boy that we get to weed out. Before I do the weeding, I do have some of this here that I can save for another project. So the fun part is I can say, okay, right here is that line, and sometimes if I hold it up to the light, let's see if I can see through to where that line is. No. Not so much. So I'm just gonna feel for that line, and that edge is right here on this line. So I'm gonna go down an extra line, 2 lines. So now I know that this line right here is the line that I can cut on. So I'm gonna come in with my scissors, and this is the fun part because now I get to just kind of eyeball. And that looks like we're on this line right here. I like that they put the grid lines on the back. Yeah. So that I know where to cut. While that was cutting, I was just kind of like sitting here fanning and blowing on the red down here to see if it would finish drying. So that way it's ready for us to place all of this in place. But have you ever tried to cut a roll? It's not always easy to do. And now my scissors are cut. Okay, let me cut this off. You don't need to watch me do this. Okay, I did a little rearranging so that my design will fit on here, and we're gonna weed this out. So we're weeding away the negative, and we're leaving our pretty designs on here. So yes, it looks like I'm going to be wasting a lot of vinyl, but we want to make sure everything sits on here the way that we want it to. Oh, and bad me, I did not check my cut settings before I started weeding, but I've used these settings many, many times, so I just trust that they're the right settings. If this is your first time cutting with vinyl or with the brand that you're using, you definitely want to do a test cut and check your vinyl before you peel it off the roll, because if you need to go back and cut it, you don't want to have to throw all of this away and start over. When I do big pieces like this, I will just kind of stop, cut some off, throw them aside, come back in and weed some more, because I have found if I don't do it that way, I will end up getting things stuck all over the place, and nobody wants that because that's how you ruin your project. And I realize I'm weeding this upside down, but that's okay. I'm just gonna do this top part that's closest to me. This is the hello. And this goes pretty fast. You can see that it's kind of stuck in some areas. So I'm just going slow to make sure that it picks up everything that it needs to pick up. Okay, so now here's where it's gonna start to roll and come back inward. So I'm probably just gonna cut this chunk off here, making sure that I'm not cutting anywhere into the design. See, this is what I mean. This is why I cut these chunks off and get rid of them, so that I don't end up peeling up the wrong part. So now I can come in and I'm gonna do this bottom. So I'm peeling out the star or the hearts that are here. Because all of those are going to show through in that red color. We've got it all weeded out. This kind of picked up a little bit, so I'm just going to lay that down there. All right, everything there looks good how we want it. I'm going to come in with my transfer tape. Now, because we're putting this on a wood sign that is painted, I'm using a very low tack transfer because I want to make sure that everything comes back up, that I'm not leaving anything on my transfer. And we can do a bit of a hinge method when we go to apply this. So we've got some extra room at the top and at the bottom if we need it. So let's see, I'm just gonna go, I like to try to use these lines so I can get a nice straight line, except that's not straight, is it? Yeah, that's good. That's the line. That's the line we want right there. And then you're probably like, but that doesn't cover your whole thing. I am going to overlap my transfer tapes to try to get the most use out of this without having too many weird size scraps. So what I like to do is put this piece on here first. And I'm going to go heavy at the top. Let me get my scraper. We're going to do all the way up to that top edge. And I'm just going to train this to go a different direction so it can kind of flatten out a little better, make it much easier to work with. So I'm just going to start by peeling, maybe peeling. Come on. There we go. And I'm just peeling a couple inches up at the top. And I'm going to take this corner and match it up to the corner here. And then, I know this is hard to kind of see what I'm doing, but I've got that corner matched up pretty well all the way across the top. Nice and straight edge. Bring that scraper tool and let that scrape that top all the way down. So now I've got that on there, nice and straight, and then I'm just going to use my scraper, push the rest of this that's exposed down, and then I can hold this and slowly peel So I'm peeling and pressing at the same time. And I'm just using my hand to help flatten this out as I'm peeling. So I try not to peel too much, use my hand to flatten that, to press it on there as I peel. Okay, so that looks pretty darn good. And then I can come in. Now this one I'm probably going to go, I keep my scrap pieces inside there. And let's see if we can't use up some of these scraps. So all I'm going to do is overlap. That's going to work. I'm going to overlap some of the transfer to make it one large piece. So again, I'm going to peel up a corner or an edge, you know, a little bit here. This doesn't have to go down as far because we've got extra. So I'm just going to line that up. We've got a whole inch here that's overlapping. It's not straight, that's okay. And then I'm just going to press, and again, I'm pressing and peeling. With that nice, and as you peel that away, it should stay nice and straight. And then I've got this one here that'll cover up that last little bit. Oh, I love when I can use my scraps. That's not quite big enough, so I'll just use this one. So we're going to do that same technique. Peel an edge, a couple inches. Look at that, it's stuck to the table. And was this enough? Yeah, it'll cover, it'll have a little bit of overlap. Not as much overlap as the other piece, but we can overlap it over here too. So I'm just gonna press that down. Same thing, get that all nice and pressed, and peel and press at the same time. Okay, so I used 3 pieces of transfer tape to cover that entire design, which is totally fine. And then I'm just gonna trim the extra off because that's just gonna goof things up for us when we go to peel it off of there. And then let's take this piece off. Okay, all of that is taken care of. So the question is this dry? Some of it at the bottom there still looks wet. So I don't love the idea of putting this on wet. So what I could do is hit it with the blow dryer. If you have a heat tool, you could do that, or come back later when it's dry. So I think we're headed towards the come back later when it's dry. All right, some time has passed. Mostly I grew impatient. So I took my heat gun that I used for heat embossing, and I went ahead and dried this all up. And for the sake of laziness, I've got my Teflon sheet here that I use on my heat press, and that's what I'm gonna use to protect everything while I get this done. So what I'm gonna do, because I tested to make sure that this is gonna help things not stick, and indeed it will, but you see it's not quite the right length, but that's okay. The other thing we're gonna do, because peeling all of this is gonna be nightmarish, so what I'd really like to do is only peel up some of this backing. So the only part that I'm going to show right now is that bottom section that we're going to put across the bottom of our welcome sign. So I'm just going to fold this part back so we only have some exposed. And then, you know, I guess I don't really need the Teflon sheet. I can kind of use that to cover everything up. I don't guess it's going to work. I don't really want to use that. Get rid of that. So this is see-through. The other thing I'm going to do is take this, fold it in half, put a little crease in there. That's going to help me figure out where my center is. Trying to lay this flat as I can. And then I can see through here to where the color changes, but also knowing it's got to fit pretty well towards the bottom. And try to get it on there straight. Yeah. Okay, so this is a lot of eyeballing and a lot of just good luck. So I know I should be very close to the edge. So that should be very close to the edge. When I press that in, now we're in that color. That looks good. On this side, we're in the color. That looks good. And where does that color change happen? Okay, that looks better. I'm going to go for it. So I'm just pressing down. This is where your scraper tool really helps. I told you we're going for it. So I'm just going to try to scrape in the same direction as the wood in case you scrape any of the paint by accident. At least it's going to go the same direction. So there is the line. So it's not perfect. You know, it's handmade. Okay, so since this is my problematic edge, oh, we're like right on that edge. See that? Okay. So I'm just gonna work really hard on this edge. That looks good. So now, once we have that in place, we're gonna treat this the same way as we did with that transfer tape to put it on there. And now I'm just gonna peel this backing. And looks like we've got our letters are coming off with it, so that's good. So that's the thing, is like you kind of have to watch to make sure all the letters peel. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. See how I'm peeling that back? And then I'm just going to scrape up to that line. And this is how we're going to keep everything nice and straight on this flat surface. I know I said to try to scrape with the grain, but you might just have to scrape however you can. Oh, and there is a bit of a crease. I'm just gonna press that down really well. The rest of that looks like it's coming off well. I'm just going to keep pressing. Okay. It's a little off balance because it's got the two places in the back where it kind of sits against your door or the wall or whatever. So that's why it's like popping up and down. All right, so I'm gonna try to just peel this corner. And I'm gonna peel nice and slow. And I can just press those down as I go if I need to. Oh, this is the top one. So I'm just gonna peel off my multi-layers of transfer tape in the reverse order that I laid them down. Nice and slow over that wood. You do not want to pick up any of that color. I am going to have to come in and press this on a little bit better. But let's go ahead and peel from the top here. Seems like we're having less trouble with the letters than we are with the hearts. Now, it could also be that the pink has had more time to dry. Some of this is not. It just doesn't want to stick on there as well. I like doing this with permanent vinyl because I'm going to put this outside. And I want it to hold up to the weather. So I'm just going to get these pressed on. And you have to just be careful. I'm going to press out. Looks like there's some air bubbles in here. Even though it's flat and it's on a flat surface, you can still get some of that air, but that will come out as you just kind of move things around to get it pressed down in the right direction. There's room down here for those air bubbles to come out. Okay, look how super stinking cute that this turned out. It is so adorable. And all that I have left to do is I'm going to put a clear coat, what is it, like, not a Rust-Oleum, but you know what I'm talking about? I'm going to clear coat on top of this just to help hold everything in place, keep it looking really nice. And it is ready to be hung outside just in time for those Valentine's Day cuteness. Okay, make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, so I know that you like the things we're doing here. I've got some more Valentine's Day projects coming your way soon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!